Welcome to the Martha Bassett Show, coming to you from the historic Reeves Theater in Elkin, North Carolina, a home for music in the heart of the foothills. The Martha Bassett Show features national artists, local talent, and the music of Martha Bassett. Tonight on the show, we welcome Gretchen Peters, Jacob Johnson, and the poet James Navé. It's a great night with some of the finest Americana music and entertainment you'll hear anywhere. Now, let's have a big hand for Martha and the band playing the Jerome Kern Dorothy Fields classic, A Fine Romance.
A fine romance with no kisses. A fine romance, my friend. This is, we should be like a couple of hot tomatoes. You're as cold as yesterday's mashed potatoes. A fine romance with no wrestle and no. You won't wrestle. I might as well play bridge with my old maid aunts. I never get the chance. This is a fine romance. To express emotion. A fine romance with no quarrels and no insults and all morals. I've never mussed the crease in your blue serge pants. I never get the chance. This is a fine romance. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here tonight, both in person and out there on the live stream. I hope that you folks are ready to hear some outstanding guitar playing because Jacob Johnson is about to take the stage. For the past 15 years, he's been touring the country, making friends and fans everywhere he goes. I am so happy that he could be here with us tonight. Will you please put your hands together for Jacob Johnson?
Man, it's so good to be here. It's good to be anywhere. I've missed traveling. I've missed playing. I've even missed the awful sketchy hotels that you have to stay in when you're a musician trying to travel on the cheap. They've got me set up pretty well tonight up the road, but you know the kind of places I'm talking about where when, you know you're in trouble if when they give you the key, it's a key. It's like an honest to goodness like metal key attached to like a piece of wood. Here's a song I wrote with a buddy of mine about some of these types of places. If you've ever tried to travel on the cheap, you might know what I'm talking about, even if you're not a musician. And maybe we'll even get you singing along by the end of this. We'll see. We'll see how frisky we're feeling. somewhere between you and Siler City. Headlights on the highway wearing thin. The stars are shining, but only out of pity. As I pull into the Carolina Motor Inn. Stacks of mini bottles in the parking lot, and a few old men without too much to say. The lady at the front desk kinda looks like Steven Tyler, especially when she says to walk this way. But I'll see you in the morning if I don't get lost again or killed. I just wanted you to know there is someone who loves you in the sketchiest motel in Fayetteville. A room number 12 on a plastic keychain. It smells like smoke and day-old coffee and chlorine. And out of loneliness and fear, honey, I sure do wish you were here. There is police tape around the ice machine. Let me hear you. I'll see you in the morning. I'll see you in the morning if I don't get lost again or killed. If I don't get lost again or killed, I just wanted you to know. I just wanted you to know there is someone who loves you in the sketchiest motel in Fayetteville. Beautiful singing, everybody. Paper thin here. I think the sheets are paper too. But there was a notepad and a pen here. So I picked them up and I wrote this song for you. Let me hear you. I'll see you in the morning. I'll see you in the morning if I don't get lost again or killed. If I don't get lost again or killed, I just wanted you to know. I just wanted you to know that there is someone who loves you in the sketchiest motel in Fayetteville. There's free HBO in the sketchiest motel in Fayetteville. Great singing, everybody. Settle down. Settle down out there. None of that whooping and hollering. None of that whooping and hollering now. Mom? Here's a tune I wrote a few years ago, and I always like to preface this song by saying that I do not in any way condone or endorse the consumption of what we here in the Carolinas sometimes refer to as non-tax-paid alcohol, sometimes known as moonshine, the rot gut, the hooch, the happy water, the white lightning, the mule kick, the old corn squeezins, creme de la stump. I don't endorse any of that, and if it makes you feel better about the song, it's only a metaphor. It's not a metaphor, though. This is called the Ferry Boat Waltz, and it's on an album I put out a few years ago called One Take Jake, and it goes like this. I hope you like it. They watched the fireworks from out on the ferry crackle and pop and explode in the sky. But as they watched the fireworks from out on the ferry, we just saw the moonlight on the 4th of July. The rockets red glaring kept the yuppies all staring, but they ain't got nothing that we'll ever need, 'cause a bottle of their fine wine ain't worth 2 swigs of our moonshine. Gee, ain't it swell in the land of the free? They watched the fireworks from out on the ferry crackle and pop and explode in the sky. But as they watched the fireworks from out on the ferry, we just saw the moonlight on the 4th of July. They lit the sky like a firefly in the palm of your hand. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. They lit the sky like a firefly in the palm of your hand. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. They watched the fireworks from out on the ferry crackle and pop and explode in the sky. But as they watched the fireworks from out on the ferry, we just saw the moonlight on the 4th of July. We just saw the moonlight. We just saw the moonlight. We just saw the moonlight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Tell me, did you already say where you're from? Where in South Carolina?
You know, I didn't mention it. I'm from a little part of the upstate called Travelers Rest, which is a very appropriate name for a town for a traveling musician to be from. That's close to Greenville, about an hour south of Asheville.
Okay.
Pop down 25, so not too far from here.
Is that where you live now?
Yeah, that's where I live now. Got a little house there, but the property values are going up. Might be a good time to cash out. If anybody is looking, give me a call.
You also, I heard you saying earlier that you teach.
I'm an adjunct guitar professor at a little college called North Greenville University, which is the college that I dropped out of to play music full time. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I saw in your bio that you dropped out of college to.
Well, it's an interesting world, isn't it?
It sure is.
But I enjoy it there, and it works well for me, and it works well for the students. So, stay in school, kids.
And I also read that you learned guitar from your grandmother.
Yeah, well, my grandmother, she's really the only person in my family that played a lot. When she was younger, she'd play and sing. She played in pickup bands. You know, when country acts would tour, they wouldn't bring a whole band with them. They would hire people in whatever town they were in. So she got to play and sing with like Ernest Tubb and Hank Snow and people like that. And she taught me the first 3 chords I ever learned. And I remember I was about 18 or 19 years old, and I had really come a long way on the guitar, and I was getting into all this crazy like 2-hand stuff, and I thought, man, I'm going to play this piece of music for Mom Johnson, that's what we called her, and it's going to blow her mind. She's not going to believe what I'm doing. And I got through this really insane, complicated thing that I had been working on, and she said, Jacob, that was good, son, but you got to look up. You got to look up at the audience, and you got to smile. So I've carried that with me after all these years. That's why I'm looking at you and smiling an almost freakish amount while I'm playing. It's because of Mom Johnson, really.
Well, shall we do another one?
Let's do. Do you know the old jazz tune, On the Sunny Side of the Street?
I do.
I like doing the showbiz thing where we're like, well, we didn't have anything prepared. No, they're good at doing these jazz tunes, so I wanted to get one in while I was here, because it's not the same playing by yourself versus playing with a great hot band like this. So we'll give this one a try. Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worries on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear the pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shade with my blues on parade. But I am not afraid. This rover crossed over. If I never have 1 cent, I'll be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street. shade with my blues on parade. But I am not afraid. This rover crossed over. If I never have a cent, and I don't, I'll be rich as Rockefeller. Gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street. On the sunny side of the street.
We are proud to have Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist sponsor the Martha Bassett Show. Through every stage, at every age, Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist is here for you and your family, supporting life, health, and well-being. It's Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist, care for life. TMBS is also supported in part by Life Store Insurance. They have 8 locations, with one located right here in downtown Elkin. Life Store Insurance, your North Carolina insurance specialist. And remember, when you come to visit us in beautiful downtown Elkin, make sure you stop by the shops at 150 East Market Street, where you'll find Dirty Joe's Coffee, the Smoothie Station, Gwynn and Market Mercantile, and the Barkery, home of Melissa's all-natural pet treats. The shops at 150 East Market Street, where you're sure to find something for everyone. Now, let's get back to the Reeves Theater stage in beautiful Elkin, North Carolina.
Our next guest is a world-class poet, a storyteller, a podcaster, and teacher. He's one of the founders of the Leaf Festival in Black Mountain and continues to lead the poetry slams there. Joining us from Taos, New Mexico, please welcome James Navé.
I've been well instructed. I have to look up and smile, as you heard previously. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Now, we have more than just one person here that's going to do something. We're not sure how this is going to play. I love to put a little music behind maybe my stories. You might call them poetry. Maybe it leans a little bit poetically. We're not sure yet, but we'll find out. And you were told I live in Taos, New Mexico, and that is true. But I was born in Biltmore Hospital, 1949 in Asheville, North Carolina. That was a while back. I grew up in North Carolina, right here where we are now. And I've driven up and down I-75 a fair amount on my way to somewhere and then headed back home. The road in is longer than the road out, even if it's the same road, some people say. So the first thing I would like to do is open up with a little piece about where I started. It's called The Road. The road is in love with me. It comes turning out of my childhood, twisting through my morning, interrupting my picnic. It taps while I'm asleep, like a kitten wishfully waiting for the door to open. I'm always dreaming of the road. As a boy, I stood beside it and I watched it as it stretched in the summer afternoon, so concrete, so eternal. As a young man, it grabbed my hand and it carried me through my gate, past my school with its oak wooden floors and wide eastern views, carried me past my church, so small now, inadequate steeple, stained glass windows, carried me past gardens with corn so high, I'm sure it only grew to give the wind a place to go, carried me past my father's blows and my mother's easy words, carried me away from home and into the night and the next morning and the next night and the next morning and the next night until I stand before you right here, breathing and alive, not too far from where I started in Asheville, North Carolina, breathing and alive. The road is in love with me. Some people love the road, and I just love the way these notes are floating around the room. Who's doing this? There must be somebody else here in the middle of all this. I love the road, and the road reminds me of beauty because when you're on the road, you see beauty. A poet named Charles Wright from Pickwick, Tennessee, said this in a poem titled Lonesome Pine Special. He said, and he's talking about beauty, It's true, I think, as Kinko says in his Idleness. All beauty begins with disappearance. The bitten edges of things, the gradual sliding away into tissue and memory, the uncertainty and dazzling impermanence of days we beg our meanings from, and their frayed loveliness. The uncertainty and dazzling impermanence of days we beg our meanings from, and their frayed loveliness. Think about that for a moment. You know, the days, they seem so permanent, and yet there's uncertainty, the dazzling impermanence, and yet we beg our meanings from them. Now, I mentioned Taos, New Mexico. I did grow up in Asheville, but I have spent a lot of time in Taos. And one of the things that happens in Taos, and I do love this sound, the Harley, the sound of the Harley Davidson. Some of you may have heard that sound before. You know, it sounds good. It's a bit like you hear it too much. If it's next door, it gets a little loud. But if it just roars by, it says, hey, come on, follow me. Let's go somewhere. This is about what happens on Memorial Day weekend, which is coming up pretty soon, I believe. Hundreds of Harleys invade Taos, New Mexico, every Memorial Day weekend. Those bikers, mostly men with gray in their beards, ride their hogs. Hair blown back, wind hitting their jackets, leather boots above power-stoking engines that boom through silver pipes. Past Taos Gins and Mineral, Song's Asian Restaurant, and Anthony Lopez's law office. You know, Harleys were roaring through Taos long before Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda rode easy over that Rio Grande Bridge looking for adventure and a place to smoke and lightning into the 21st century where they would never grow old. Like those bikers in Taos every Memorial Day weekend. Helmets be damned. Oh, these cats, they're riding with their souls free down that long road that always curves out of Sunday morning. They lean into the warm air, never noticing how their shadows ripple across fence posts, barbed wire, and no trespassing signs. And you've seen that before, rippling across the barbed wire and the no trespassing signs, all our shadows, the uncertainty and dazzling impermanence of days we beg our meanings from. And yet it's about love. You know those Harley riders. They love those Harleys. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you have a Harley in your garage. I don't know. I don't have one, but I have ridden on the back of one time, and I was happy to do it. So we're talking about love and beauty, and here's the story of younger love, and it's still set in Taos. I've got a couple of more poems, and then I'll say goodbye for right now, but we'll be back later. A couple of weeks ago, on my way out of Taos to Santa Fe, a road sign warned bighorn sheep. I scanned the land for wildlife. Nothing moved but my borrowed Mini Cooper, gliding 60 miles an hour, sunroof pushed back, winded down, scent of sage in the air. Janis Joplin on the radio. I downshifted for the curves, and I started thinking about the first time I heard Janis cover Chris Christopherson's Me and Bobby McGee. You know, I always thought when Janis said she let Bobby slip away, she meant he left her for another woman, or he hoboed to Seattle because he loved those rails more than he loved her, or he just plain turned mean and he robbed a bank. Now I know better. Bobby died, and he did it in the arms of a woman that loved him. An hour after I got to Santa Fe, I watched a young married couple ordering sandwiches at the Aztec Cafe. They touched each other while they waited. The air was clean and dry. A few white clouds floated in the egg blue sky. And I will sorbet the room with a love poem written by Edwin Morgan, and I love this beat right now. It's a very short one. We're winding down. It's titled Strawberries. There were never strawberries like the ones we had that sultry afternoon, sitting on the steps of the open French window, your knees held in mine and the blue plates in our laps. The strawberries, the glistening in the hot sunlight. We dipped them in sugar, not hurrying the feast for one to come. The blue plates laid on the stone together with the two forks crossed. I bent toward you, sweet in that air from your eager mouth, the taste of strawberries. In my memory, lean back again and let me love you. Let the sun beat on our forgetfulness. 1 hour of heat, intense, and summer lightning on the Kilpatrick Hills. Let the storm wash the plates. All beauty begins with disappearance. Thank you.
The Martha Bassett Show is supported in part by Explore Elkin, your one-stop travel source for the Yadkin Valley and beyond. If you're looking for hometown charm, historic landmarks, Main Street shopping, and fine dining, come stay a while in downtown Elkin. Elkin is the small town with a big community. So whether it's downtown events, music, hiking, or just paddling the Blue Water Trail, you can let Explore Elkin help you find your trail. Learn more on Facebook or at exploreelkin.com. Support for the Martha Bassett Show also comes from these fine downtown Elkin businesses: the Elk Pharmacy, Yoga on Main, Coley Hall at the Liberty, Angry Troll Brewing, Yadkin Valley Quilts, the Wisdom Table, and Elkin's finest little cocktail bar, Fruition. Now let's get back to the show with Martha Bassett.
Gretchen Peters is one of Nashville's most respected songwriters. Her songs have been sung by Etta James, Bonnie Raitt, the Neville Brothers, Patty Loveless, George Strait, Bryan Adams, Faith Hill, and Martina McBride, among others. As impressive as that sounds, my favorite way to hear her songs is when she sings them herself. She's joined tonight by her husband, Barry Walsh, on piano. Will you please welcome, for the first time on our show, Gretchen Peters and Barry Walsh.
Thank you. So good to see actual people. I've got 5 minutes to sneak a cigarette. 5 minutes to myself. Back behind the screen door of Andy's luncheonette. And I ain't got time to worry about my health. My boss Andy says I smoke myself to death. Andy, he reminds me some of you. Back when you were Romeo and I was Juliet, West Texas, Capulet, and Montague. I don't think too much about you anymore. We weren't much more than kids. It was nearly 20 years ago I shut and locked that door. And I've got 5 minutes, not much time to reminisce. Most nights I come home from work and I pour a glass of wine. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 before I stop. And Jessie makes a sandwich if I sleep through supper time. and she leaves me on the couch to sleep it off. Now Jessie just turned 17, and she's wild as she can be, and there ain't nothing I can do. Last weekend she ran off to meet a boy in Tennessee, just like I used to run to you. And I gave her hell when she came home this afternoon, mascara running down her face. It seems like history repeats itself, and it ain't up to you. And in 5 minutes, your whole life can change. Now Andy, he's good to me, and I can see it in his eyes. He'd love to take your place, but something deep inside me just withers up and dies to make love to him and only see your face. Somehow I've let myself go gently down the street, a fine example I have set between the working and the living and the ghosts that haunt my dreams. I've got 5 minutes, and I'm gonna smoke that cigarette.
Thank you all. Well, I'm going to apologize in advance, but we brought an accordion, so. Oops, this is the wrong song. I don't know what it is about piano players. The piano is such a beautiful, great instrument, and they all seem to play the accordion too.
I'm
So-
not going to play this. I'm just going to hold it.
Okay. Well, those of you out there in Radio Land can't see, but it is a very glittery, shiny, beautiful accordion. Just don't aim it at me, okay? I want to do this song that I was so thrilled. I released it on an album of my own in 2012. And a couple of years ago, Trisha Yearwood recorded the song and released it, and I was just so thrilled. And after, when I saw her after she had recorded it, she told me that it just made her think of Garth Brooks. The song did, and now every time I sing it, all I can think of is Garth Brooks, which is a little bit disturbing, but.
I threw a rose to the matador, not sure who I was cheering for. My aim was true, my heart was full. I loved the fighter and the bull. I love like only a woman can, a very complicated man. I made his brow, I tanned his wounds, I gave him truth, I told him lies. His rage is made of many things, faithless lovers, wedding rings, snakes and snails and alcohol, his daddy's fist thrown through the wall. Oh, but he's beautiful when he's in the ring. The devil howls, the angels sing. Sparks fly from his fingertips, and words like birds fly from his lips. Some man is lying in the dirt, some woman's crying that he's hurt. He's not alive without the thrill, without the dance, without the kill. The lights go down, the people roar, they're cheering on the matador. And this is how the story goes. I knew it when I threw the rose. I come to each and every show, the woman in the second row. I watch them in their ancient dance, and I know I never stood a chance. 'Cause while other demons prance and clown, it's vanity that takes you down. I thought that I could be the one, but I'm just another hanger-on. Some man is bleeding in the dirt, some woman's crying that she's hurt. But who are we without the thrill, without the dance, without the kill? How the story goes. I knew it when I threw the rose. I threw a rose to the matador, not sure who I was cheering for. My aim was true, my heart was full. I loved the fighter and the bull.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, what a pleasure. You told me backstage that this was your first time performing together in how long?
Live in front of real people,
Yes.
26 months.
Wow. We're honored.
What's my name? Who am I? Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say this because I'll jinx myself, but I guess it is like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, we've had Gretchen booked twice before, and just the world did not cooperate. So
Yes, that's
the third time's the charm, and I'm so
but
happy.
I did. We both did discover some new things about ourselves, as I'm sure everybody did when we were locked down. Like, there's this thing apparently called bedtime. Wow. In my whole adult life, Barry's whole adult life, we've been touring, and bedtime is awesome.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to miss it.
Did you have any special projects?
We didn't go the sourdough route. We didn't.
Right.
We didn't do that. No, actually, we did a very cliche thing. We raised a puppy.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean,
What kind?
how great is that? Because you can't be unhappy around a puppy. I mean, you can be angry and pissed off around a puppy, but you can't be unhappy.
Right.
you know.
We got a cat. What kind of dog did you get?
We got the worst kind of puppy you can get, which is a black lab puppy. They make the
Yes.
best dogs and the absolute worst puppies because they're sort of like drunk babies with alligator teeth, who are mobile, you know.
Right.
But it was challenging and fun, and he's just the best, and it definitely kept us, you know, on the bright side for
Well,
sure.
several other artists who have come through have brought their dogs with them, so you are welcome to do that if you come back.
Oh, next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not quite stage ready yet. He'd be out there licking everybody right now, so. Yeah.
Well, Barry, we haven't talked very much about you, but you are quite the songwriter as well, and I read that you were pianist to Waylon Jennings as well as Roy Orbison. How was that?
How was it?
Yeah,
It was amazing.
I bet.
I mean, especially, well, both of them, but Orbison really still, I think, is, present company excluded, is the best singer I ever heard. You know, and the best singer I ever
Well
He had to say that.
Fortunately,
It's
that.
okay, baby. I don't. Roy Orbison is in a league of his own.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yes,
he
he
was
is.
also probably the nicest guy that I ever met. He's just a super nice guy, and humble and kind, and you know, all this great stuff. Waylon was Waylon. I mean, we got along great, and I stayed with him I toured with him for 5 years, and then I did some records even after I left because we got along so great. We were like family for a while. You know, it was great.
Well, I understand that the two of you worked together for 20 years before you got married.
Yeah, we did. It was
Long audition.
complicated. I was fairly new in Nashville, and I had worked with this bass player before when I was recording demos of my songs, and needed a keyboard player, and asked him for a recommendation, and he recommended Barry. This was 1990, I guess.
Everybody else in town was booked, so.
And I have never hired another piano player since that day in 1990 because he did this thing that not all musicians do. He listened to the lyrics. And I could tell that the minute, you know, he started playing with me, that he was actually listening to the words. And that's a huge thing. So for about 14 years, we were just, you know, we went on the road sometimes and played in the studio together, and we were friends, and then some more things happened, and here we are, married. It'll be,
12 years.
It'll be 12 years in October.
Newlyweds.
Yeah.
Well, your songs come from such a deep place, and I know I'm sure I'm speaking for this whole audience. We're just drawn into the story of your songs, and that's why everyone loves you your songs so much. So thank you so much for sharing them.
Thanks very much.
Will you give us one more before we take an intermission?
I would be happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I used to be something back in my prime. Had myself a pretty good time. By the looks of me, you'd never know it today. Had a ring on my finger at 24. We had 40 good years, then 10 more. He got sick and he died on Christmas Day. Well, I lost 2 babies, kept 1 more. Lost him too when he went to war. And all his daddy could say is it'll make him a man. He did 2 tours of duty out in Iraq. He came home, but he didn't come back. And that's something that I'll never understand. Good things come, good things go. If it lifts you up, it'll let Seen all kinds of women, all kinds of men. Ain't a lot that you can call friend. And most things don't turn out like you think. But you can travel the world, you can sail the seas, you can yes sir, no sir, pretty please. Still you end up crying at your kitchen sink. Good things come, good things go. If it lifts you up, it'll lay you low. People leave and they don't look back. Life is a disappearing act. Well, it's lonely inside this dark cocoon, and I'm wondering if Jesus is coming soon. If he is, he better make it quick. 'Cause Jesus and me, we got us a deal. He does the miracles, I spin the wheel. But before I go, I got one last trick. Good things come, good things go. You'll be taking your bows before you know. People leave and they don't come back. Life is a, yeah. Good things come, good things go. If it lifts you up, it'll lay you low. People leave and they don't come back. This is my disappearing act. Yeah, this is my disappearing act.
Thanks so much, y'all.
All right, Gretchen Peters and Barry Walsh. We're going to take a short intermission. Go out and grab yourself a drink. Miranda's out there at the merch table. All these fine artists have taken the time to find their merch again since we're all gigging, and they brought it. So go out there and support them, and we'll see you back here in a little bit. There he is. Little music. No. Welcome back to the second half of the Martha Bassett Show, featuring Gretchen Peters and Barry Walsh, Jacob Johnson, and the poet James Navé. Remember, you can listen to us weekly on 88.5 WFDD. Follow the entire schedule, listen to past radio shows, and subscribe to our podcast at marthabassettshow.com. Now, let's start off the second half of the show with this big hit by Bob Dylan.
Close your eyes, close the door. You don't have to worry anymore. 'Cause I'll be your baby tonight. Shut the light, shut the shade. You don't have to be afraid. 'Cause I'll be your baby tonight. Well, that mockingbird's gonna sail away. We're gonna forget it. That big old moon's gonna shine like a spoon. We're gonna let it, you won't regret it. Kick your shoes off, do not fear. Now bring that bottle over here. 'Cause I'll be your baby tonight.
Take another one. Same thing.
Well, that mockingbird's gonna sail away. We're gonna forget it. That big fat moon's gonna shine like a spoon. We're gonna let it, you won't regret it. Kick your shoes off, do not fear. Now bring that bottle, bring it right over here. 'Cause I'll be your baby tonight. I'll be your baby tonight.
Thank you. Please welcome back Jacob Johnson.
Oh, we're going to try this old gospel tune.
We are.
Martha's got me doing some stuff that I haven't done since I went in the studio and recorded it. So
I looked through
But
his
I-
catalog and saw that he had this whole record of hymns, and you know I like that stuff too. So.
Oh man, yeah. So let's try this old "To Canaan's Land, I'm on my way, where the soul never dies."
That's right.
To Canaan's land, I'm on my way, where the soul never dies. My darkest night will turn to day, where the soul never dies. No sad farewell, no tear-dimmed eyes, where all is love and the soul never dies. A rose is blooming there for me, where the soul never dies. And I will spend eternity where the soul never dies. No sad farewell, no tear-dimmed eyes, where all is love and the soul never dies. I'm on my way to that fair land where the soul never dies, where there will be no parting hand and the soul never dies. No sad farewell. life will end in deathless sleep where the soul never dies. And everlasting joys I'll reap where the soul never dies. No sad farewell, there'll be no tear-dimmed eyes, where all is peace and joy and love, and the soul of man never dies. No sad farewell, no tear-dimmed eyes, where all is love and the soul never dies. I think we fooled them. I think we fooled them.
That was awesome. Thank you for letting me jump in on that.
Thanks for letting me do it. I love that stuff.
Well, do you have a couple more songs for us?
Yeah, let me do one. Can I just jump right in? I'll just jump right in. This isn't one I wrote, but it's been one of my favorite songs for many, many years, and I love it so much I put it on my album, One Take Jake. And the song was not written about the life of a traveling, struggling, starving musician. But every time I hear this song, I think, this is kind of what my life feels like a little bit. And that's in a good way. And maybe when you hear this song now, you'll think the same thing. Pretty good so far, right? No. Save it up and do it big at the end. That's all I ask. Up where the smoke is all billowed and curled, between pavement and stars, lies the chimney sweep's world, where there's hardly no day and there's hardly no night, just things half in shadow and halfways in light. On the rooftops of Elkin, usually everybody cheers when I say the name of the town. It's too late to pretend you thought of that yourselves. We'll get a running start. We'll do it right. We'll edit the tape. It's fine. On the rooftops of Elkin, North Carolina, home of the beautiful Reeves Theater. That was so sincere. What a sight. Chimney, chim, chimney, chim, chim, chiree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim, chimney, chim, chimney, chim, chim, chiroo. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you. Or blow me a kiss, 'cause that's lucky too. Now that the ladder of life has been strung, you might think a sweep's on the bottommost rung. Though I spend my time in the ashes and smoke, in this so wide world there's no happier bloke. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiree. When you're with a sweep, you're in glad company, 'cause nowhere is there a more happier crew than them what sings chim chim chiree, chim chiree. chimney, chim, chim, cheree. When you're with a sweet, you're in glad company. Nowhere is there a more happier crew than them what sings chim, chim, cheree, chim, cheroo. Chim, chimney, chim, chim, cheree, chim, cheroo. Thank you. Thank you very much. I like to open up my concerts with that one because it just puts everybody in a good mood, you know? And this is the song that usually I close my concerts with because I kind of wrote it for that part of the night. I wanted to write a song. I wrote this with a buddy of mine, and we kind of wrote it for and about all the cool people that we meet through music. If it's the other, you know, the presenters or the staff, the people at the venue, the other artists, the folks who come hear us, even the characters that we just make up and put in our songs. They're all in here. And you're probably in here too somewhere. And they're sitting on a CD, but it is available on Spotify and Apple Music as a single from a live concert. So this is called the Goodnight Chorus. And if you feel compelled, you could even sing along a little bit. You'll probably catch on. You'll probably catch on. Good night to the waitress and the regular crowd. Good night to the band that's playing too loud. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. Good night to the ladies. Good night to the gents. Good night to go-getters that got up and went. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. I can hear you. That's nice. Good night to the gypsies, the weary, the worried. Good night to the tipsy, the drowsy, the blurry. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. Good night to the cowboys and the rodeo clowns, to the salt of the earth and the dust of the ground. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. Good night, your street preacher reading from King James Dean. Good night, all you pushers and alleyway queens. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. Good night to the voice of a lost generation, singing for tips in a dark railway station. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. Good night, you ambitious, too big for this town. Come back when you're ready to lay some roots down. Good night to the hustlers, to the wise guys and thieves. Good night, all you skeptics and those who believe. Good night to the late crowd. Good night, early risers. Good night, all you poets. Good night, plagiarizers. Good night to the faithful. Good night to the few. Good night, all you lovers and the ones that love you. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. My name's Jacob Johnson. That's it for me. Thanks for having me. I love you. and I'll be back up for a little bit at the end. Thank you, Martha. Thank you.
The Martha Bassett Show is supported in part by Hugh Chatham Memorial Hospital. Hugh Chatham Memorial Hospital has provided high-quality medical care for the residents of Elkin, North Carolina and the Yadkin Valley area for over 90 years. And they've recently expanded into Virginia and introduced additional services, providing greater access for the communities they serve. A private not-for-profit hospital, Hugh Chatham employs more than 900 and is served by more than 70 physicians representing 27 specialties, delivering all of the quality medical services you and your family need to achieve optimal physical and mental health. You can learn more at hughchatham.org. What's next, Martha?
Russell Kelly and I would like to share a 1967 bossa nova from Antonio Carlos Jobim called Wave. It translates roughly like this: I'll tell you, the eyes can no longer see things only the heart can understand. Love is fundamental. It's impossible to be happy alone. Now I already know from the wave that rose from the sea and the stars we forgot to count, love is surprised as the night comes to envelop us. This is Wave. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Vou te contar, os olhos já não podem ver coisas que só o coração pode entender. Fundamental é mesmo o amor, é impossível ser feliz sozinho. O resto é mar e tudo que eu não sei contar são coisas lindas que eu tenho pra te dar. Vem de mansinho, a brisa me diz, é impossível ser feliz sozinho. Da primeira vez era a cidade, da segunda cais a eternidade. Agora eu já sei da onda que se ergueu no mar e das estrelas que esquecemos de contar. O amor se deixa surpreender enquanto a noite vem nos envolver. Da primeira vez era a cidade, da segunda cais a eternidade. Agora eu já sei da onda que se ergueu no mar e das estrelas que esquecemos de contar. O amor se deixa surpreender enquanto a noite vem nos envolver. Vou te contar.
Thank you. This is Russell Kelly. Come on back out, James Navé.
All right.
So I've only known James a few months, and in that period of time, I have seen you traveling to Paris.
No, I haven't been to Paris.
Oh.
I haven't yet. I was going, but I canceled my trip.
Oh, you canceled
so
it, okay.
I could come here.
Oh. You are kidding.
Come on. You have to do these things in life, you know.
They call
Come on.
Elkin the Paris of North Carolina, so that was kind of fitting, I think.
I think Elkin.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
I know poetry has taken you around the world.
It has.
Tell us some of the places that you've been.
Well, I started being involved in the poetry community, as many of you probably did when you were in the first grade and you heard Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick, and you went on from there. And we all did that. So it's all about language. Poetry is about language and how we communicate with each other. And we're all naturally poetic. The sunrise comes up and you go, ah, and that's a poetic impulse. I started my poetry world, or my work in the poetry world, through the Storytelling Festival in Jonesboro, Tennessee. And I went to the Storytelling Festival and I saw all those people on the stage and I thought, well, how do they do that? And I just couldn't figure it out. And I thought, well, if you just memorized a few poems, maybe you could not have to worry about speaking like I am now. It took a while to learn how to do this. So I did memorize a lot of poems, and I learned very short ones, like on the antiquity of fleas. Are you ready to memorize that? You ready? On the antiquity of fleas, Adam had 'em. So there you go. So you could take that home with you. You know, there's one for you. Who knows where it's going to take you from there? So that's how I got started. And I had a business called Poetry Alive, and we toured around the country and the world even, performing poetry from the school textbooks for children, actually students. First graders were the children, but the seniors in high school were not children. But we did all the classics, and some of you probably know The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. That's the classic one. 2 roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. So that was one of the ones we did. And so everybody nods, we know that one. And I took the one less traveled by because that's the one I took. And the one you took is the one that was less traveled by because that's the one you took. And we've all traveled our own roads, and every road you've traveled that was yours was less traveled by because you're the only one on it. That's my interpretation of The Road Not Taken, if you didn't notice. Anything else, Martha?
Well, you're a fabulous performer, but I have actually taken a few of his online Imaginative Storm writing workshops that happen every week.
I met Martha by way of, I don't remember who it was, but somebody that
Your friend Martha.
just sent an email and said, do you know this woman? She's doing this podcast down in Elkin. And I thought, sure, I love podcasts because I do a podcast, Twice 5 Miles Radio, fertile ground for conversations worth listening to and remembering. And so I called Martha up right away and said, well, gee, I'd like to interview you. So I interviewed her, and then I invited her to come on to this project that I have called the Imaginative Storm Writer Training Session. And we do it every Saturday morning on Zoom. It's always free. And we work with the idea of your imagination as the primary driver for everything you do. And we say, stay in your rational mind. Stay in your rational mind. Trust your rational mind, and let your imaginative mind feed your rational mind, and let the two dance together and see what happens.
It's so much fun.
It is fun. ImaginativeStorm.com if you want to check it out. It's the door's always open. Everybody's welcome.
Well, we are thrilled that you joined us tonight, and I would love to get out of the way so that people can hear you.
We're going to do just a little bit, yeah. Thank you, Martha.
Right. Thank you so much.
I could interview you too, you know. Ask a question, you never know where it'll go. So we have a bunch of folks on stage tonight. This band, give them a hand. Come on. Really, more hand. This is like, why would you not just clap all night for this crew? And so I did mention the Imaginative Storm, so I'd like to open with a quote from my favorite poet, Charles Wright. And this is the quote that has driven me quite a bit for years. And it's a question for you. What is it inside your imagination? You all just give me some music here. What is it inside your imagination that keeps surprising you at odd moments when something is given back you didn't know you had? In solitude, spontaneously, and with great joy. I'll ask that one more time. What is it inside your imagination that keeps surprising you at odd moments when something is given back you didn't know you had, in solitude, spontaneously, and with great joy. I love the idea of the solitude, the spontaneity, and the joy, because we are in solitude, but we're also in a group of people like we are tonight. I'd like to tell you a little story I wrote. This is actually the beginning of a novel, and I claim I'm working on it. I may never finish it, because novels tend to just go where they please, but this is a story about how a woman makes a decision, about a difficult decision that maybe some of you have made, and this is how she starts to make that decision and what she does. And I'll open with that, and we have something going to happen over here. We don't know what, but here it goes, and then I'll follow with another poem, and we'll say goodnight from me. But there's more to come. Gretchen Peters is coming, I believe, the great music. Candler used to be a preacher's wife down in Carolina. Come on, y'all. Her husband, the Reverend Doyle Summerhill, could preach up a storm. Yea, though I walk through the valley, he'd say. Carolina was farm country, and when Candler was growing up, as far as she could see, trees held so much summer that even the bees got tired by August. Now, it must have been during one of those long fly-buzzing nights when the heat had settled across the spine of the meadow that Candler decided rotary fans, weekly hairdos at the beauty parlor, and devil-driven sermons were gonna be markers in a book somebody else read. Nobody really knows what it was that made Candler restless. Some of those old folks say that if you live too close to the tracks and you hear the trains blow, won't be long before your kitchen starts to look like a diner that charges more for coffee than you are willing to pay. Or it might have been that hailstorm, the one that tore up half the tobacco in Coleman County and left Candler wide awake with her knees pulled up to her chest. Folks around that part of the country still talk about that storm. Ace Rivers down at the Creekview Cafe says that was the night that his boy Shelby decided to join the Merchant Marines. Now Patrick Moss, he swears he heard his mama's ghost dancing on the tin roof just like they said she did when she was young and used to sneak off to the jazz clubs down in Birmingham. Well, it drove her daddy crazy until he gave in to the idea, and he decided that his daughter was probably better off down in Birmingham than up there in New York. And about that same time, she showed back up on his doorstep with a husband in one hand and a Bible in another. Now, to this day, Patrick Moss will tell you, he will tell you he is glad his mama did that. Now, folks around that part of the country will tell you that storm tore up a lot more than tobacco plants. Storms like that have a way of washing the biggest rats through a drain system, the kind of lightning and thunder that runs along behind those big chunks of ice has a way of lifting your skin right off the bone, hair and all, shakes the topsoil loose, and it makes the crocs nervous. Some say that was the way it was between Doyle and Candler. Well, he didn't treat her bad. He just didn't treat her. Wasn't a whole lot different than somebody giving you a Hershey bar for your wedding anniversary and trying to convince you it's cake. Now Candler, she knew from the start that she shouldn't have gotten married. But like so many other girls looking for respectability, she fell for Reverend Summerhill, who talked the napkins off her mama's table and told her that the Lord had given him a vision and he was part of it. Now, restlessness is not something that comes over you like a new idea and gives you a clear view of the mountains. It just scratches and pecks. It's like one of those park pigeons that's used to being fed. For Candler, it was more like hair growing out. No matter how you cut it, it still takes a year to get down to your shoulders, and then when it's down there, you don't even notice it. On the afternoon, Doyle rubbed his right index finger over the middle shelf in front of the fresh-dried coffee mugs and said, "Candler, God ain't never gonna tolerate this much dust even in hell." Was the afternoon. Candler shoved her chair back, walked across that kitchen floor, went upstairs, threw 2 suitcases on the bed, and that woman started to pack. And my friends, that's the beginning of Candler's adventures. I will tell you, she went on to do great things, and she did leave Doyle Summerhill behind. And she did it on her own. She redeemed herself. She took herself out into the world and made something of it, like we all can do. So I want to finish out with this little bit about a friend of mine and a fish. And it's about he had empathy for this fish. It's called catch and release. And in a way, Candler caught herself, and she released herself. And off she went, said goodbye to Doyle, and who knows where she is today. I know where she is, but I'll tell you that later. But my buddy Paul Pasquarella phoned me one day. I was in New York City. He was in Colorado fishing, a little trout fishing. Some of you might trout fish, right? And he had caught this huge trout, and he wanted to tell me about how to release the trout back into a fast-moving stream. So he filled it up, told me all about it, but the next day he called again because he wasn't satisfied, had to tell me more. And so here's how it played out. Not satisfied with our conversation yesterday about how to release a large trout into a fast-moving stream, Paul Pasquarella phoned again today. With my cell phone to my ear, I went down 6 flights of stairs. I crossed the lobby, stepped out onto the sidewalk behind a young couple walking west on 29th Street. Paul said, with wet hands, I took him to the shallows. He was in shock. I lured him gently into the easy flow. I moved him back and forth, nose to tail, until 3 bubbles of air emerged and he regained his strength, until finally, as if he were my own child, I released him. The couple turned south down 3rd Avenue talking about theater and what they plan to do later. You know, in any big city, no matter where you are in the world, you can fall out of the sky and splash into the river, and nobody will notice you. Now, who wants that? Who wants that? Everybody knows there's juice in giving yourself over to your dazzle, your electricity, your swagger, your soul-spirited, fire-breathing, sword-swallowing days under the big top where trapeze artists soar. Take yourself to the shallows. Lower yourself gently into the easy flow. Move yourself back and forth, head to toe, until 3 bubbles of air emerge and you regain your strength, until finally, as if you were your own child, release yourself back into the unreachable depths and velocity of the breaching stream. What is it inside your imagination that keeps surprising you? Release yourself back into the unreachable depths and velocity of the breaching stream. Thank you.
Reeves Theater and Cafe, downtown Elkin's newly renovated landmark. Originally opened as an Art Deco movie theater in 1941, It was fully operational until 1977 and then became the Elk Twin Cinema until 1994. Closed for decades after it was lovingly restored and reopened in 2018. The Reeves Theater and Cafe is also your location for farm-to-table dining in the heart of the foothills. Chef Pat creates exciting new menus each week. New cafe hours are 4 to 9, so you can grab a bite before the music begins. The Reeves Theater also has a vibrant music lineup with amazing national, regional, and local artists. Coming up, you can hear the Jeff Little Trio, Paul Thorne, and the delightfully funky Greensboro band Reliably Bad. Now, would you please give a big welcome back to the stage for Gretchen Peters?
Thank you. Our Lady of the Bus Depot is holding forth tonight. Her body, it is wasted, but her eyes are shining bright. And our Father, who art slightly drunk, is warding off the shakes, and he staggers underneath the weight of the promises he makes. Say grace, say grace, forgive yourself for all of your mistakes. You can start all over if that's what it takes. Just come inside and set yourself a place and say grace. We are gathered here together to praise his holy name in a shelter by the Greyhound station down on 5th and Main. And as to who we're praying to, there run two schools of thought: a benevolent provider or an unforgiving. Say grace, say grace, forgive yourself for all of your mistakes. You might find salvation in your neighbor's face. Just come inside and set yourself a place. Now the Bible on the table saying, be of good cheer, but the TV in the corner screaming, you're not welcome here. And on a poster in the waiting room, she greets the tired and poor. Our Lady of the Harbor stands beside a golden. Say grace, say grace, forgive yourself for all of your mistakes. You are not a loser, you are not a hopeless case. Just come inside and set yourself a place. Say grace.
inside and set yourself a place and say grace.
Thank you. We're gonna get the old accordion back out again and do this song. I would like to say that I wrote this next song, but I didn't. But I was the first person that got a chance to record it. It was written by Tom Russell, and I just think it's his most beautiful song. And I was so happy to be able to record it. We made a record about the American West called "One to the Heart, One to the Head," and this was kind of the little centerpiece of this record. There are ghosts out in the rain tonight, high up in those ancient trees. And I have given up without a fight. Another blind fool on her knees, and all the gods that I've abandoned begin to speak in simple tongue, and suddenly I've come to know that there are no roads left to run. It's the hour of dogs barking. That's what the old ones used to say. It's first light or it's sundown, before the children cease their play. And when the mountains glow like mission wine, or turn gray like a Spanish Rome, 10,000 eyes will stop to worship, then turn away and head for home. She is reaching out her arms tonight, and yes, my poverty is real. I pray roses shall rain down again from Guadalupe on her hill. And who am I to doubt these mysteries, cured in centuries of blood and candle smoke? I am the least of all your pilgrims here, but I am most in need of hope. She appeared to Juan Diego. She left her image on his cape. 500 years of sorrow cannot destroy their deepest faith. So here I am, your ragged disbeliever,
Doubting Thomas drowns in tears as I watch your church sink through the earth like a heart worn down by fear. She is reaching out her arms tonight. Yes, my poverty is real. I pray roses shall rain down again from Guadalupe on her hill. And who am I to doubt these mysteries? Cured in centuries of blood and candle smoke, I am the least of all your children here, but I am most in need of hope. I am the least of all your pilgrims here, but I am most in need of hope. Thank you all so much. We're going to do one more song and then bring the band back. And I really want to thank Martha, and I want to thank you guys for being here, for breaking us in so easy after two plus years off. It's been really fun. This is a song that goes all the way back to a long time ago. The 90s. 90s country was, we didn't know how lucky we had it back then. We had so many, the songwriters had so many great singers that were recording great songs and really sort of sticking up for what they thought was really good. And it was just a wonderful time, and I feel really lucky to have played a part in it. Barry as well. He was all covered up in studio work and Waylon Jennings and all that stuff in the 90s. So, not that I want to go back, but just being grateful. Anyway, this one was actually a disaster at radio. I think it went to number 67 and then stopped. But sometimes songs have a way of getting out there in the world despite things like that, and this was one of those songs that just sort of fought its way out in the world. Trisha Yearwood recorded it, Jimmy LaFave recorded it, I recorded it a few times, a lot of other people did, and somehow it just it said, I'm just going to go out there and do my thing, so you never know. On a bus to St. Cloud, Minnesota, thought I saw you there, with the snow falling down around you like a silent prayer. And once on a street in New York City, with the jazz and the sin in the air, and once on a cold LA freeway going nowhere. And it's strange, but it's true. I was sure it was you, just a face in the crowd on a bus to St. Cloud. in a church in downtown New Orleans. I got down on my knees and prayed, and I wept in the arms of Jesus for the choice you made. We were just getting to the good part, just getting past the mystery. Oh, and it's just like you, it's just like you to disagree. And it's strange, but it's true. You just slipped out of view like a face in the crowd on a bus to St. Cloud. And you chase me like a shadow, and you haunt me like a ghost, and I hate you so, and I love you some, but I miss you most. On a bus to St. Cloud, Minnesota, I thought I saw you there, with the snow falling down around you like a silent Thank you, guys. Give it up for Barry Walsh. Y'all ready? All right, if you know it, sing it. Childhood living is easy to do. The things you wanted, I bought them for you. Graceless lady, you know who I am. You know I can't let you slide through my hand. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away.
I watched you suffer a dull aching pain. show me the same. No sweeping exit or off stage line could make me feel bitter or treat you unkind.
Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. I know I dreamed you sin and alive. I have my freedom, but I don't have much time. Faith has been broken. Tears must be cried. Let's do some living after we die. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses, we'll ride them someday.
Thank you all for tuning in and to our beautiful live audience. Let's hear it for Gretchen Peters and Barry Walsh, Jacob Johnson, the poet James Navé. How about our fearless leader Martha Bassett? The band tonight was Sarah Howell Miller, Rex McGee, Deshaun Hickman, Russell Kelly, and me, Pat Lawrence. Our interstitial music tonight was composed by Russell Kelly. A big thanks to the Reeves Theater and staff and the beautiful town of Elkin, North Carolina. Jem Irving, James Brickey, Doug Williams, handled the sound. Ben Singer, Eric DeLager, and Nick Bassett provided our broadcast. Sam Schumacher managed the house, and Miranda Anderson is out there selling the merch. You've been listening to the Martha Bassett Show. It's good music for good people. Thank you all so much for joining us. Drive safe, and remember, stay on the sunny side of the streets.
If I never have 1 cent, I'll Rockefeller. Gold dust at my feet on the sunny side of the street. On the sunny side of the street.
We'll see you out in the lobby.